Yeah, I'm on the line, and as soon as I have that it's not quite 4 o'clock yet, so.
Right, we'll wait just a few minutes.
Meeting for the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange, and this has been properly noticed for this afternoon at 4 o'clock. I want to welcome everybody to the teleconference. I'm going to ask everyone, if you're not speaking, to please put your phone on mute. We will open it up for public comment, and I am going to limit that public comment to 3 minutes per person. If you do want to participate in public comment, please identify yourself for the record. That being said, I'm going to ask Mr. Hager to take the roll call.
And one additional announcement: please do not put us on hold, so we don't need to listen to the music. If you need to leave the call, please hang up and then redial the call later. Please do not put us on hold. For the roll call, Ms. Johnstone?
I'm here.
Ms. Lewis? Appears to be absent. Dr. Klein? Appears to be absent. Ms. Kerr?
Here.
Dr. Ford indicated she would be absent. Director Wilden? Commissioner Kipper? Director Mullenkamp? Vice Chair Atkins? And Chair Campbell. Apparently Chair Campbell?
Yes, I'm here, but it doesn't look like we have a quorum.
No. Has Dr. Klein or Ms. Lewis arrived? Or Ms. Atkins?
Who just joined the line? It's Lynn. Oh, good. Thank you, Lynn. We were short for a quorum, so.
So, Madam Chair, we now have a quorum.
All right, thank you. And someone else just joined the line. Is that one of the board members?
Yeah, Dr. Klein. Ron Klein just joined.
Great. For the record, let's reflect that Dr. Klein has joined the line. All right, with that, I'm going to open the meeting up to public comment. Is there anyone that would like to participate in public comment this afternoon? There being none, I'm going to move on to agenda item number 3, which is the discussion of legislative bills that may have an impact on the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange. Mr. Hager, are you going to conduct this part of the meeting?
Yes, ma'am. And if you don't mind, I'll go through each bill separately and ask if there are any questions or comments from the board, and whether or not the board wants to take a position on any of the bills. That after all, the meeting for the reason for this meeting is to ensure that if the board would like to take a position on any specific bill, that they can do so. We don't yet have a whole lot of bills out there, and we're reviewing the bills as they come through. So far on this agenda, you can see 3 bills and 2 BDRs that we're tracking. One of those, as I'll explain later, I don't think we need to track anymore. So the first bill is Assembly Bill 65, which deals with the open meeting law. As we discussed at the previous board meeting, it doesn't appear that it will have an impact on the exchange as it is currently written. We're going to continue to track it to ensure that if an amendment is introduced that could impact the exchange, we'll be able to provide information on that. I don't think that it's necessary. I'm not sure if it's necessary that the board take a position on it, unless the board would like to express concern about ensuring that we can do our processes efficiently. We obviously had 42 publicly noticed meetings last year. We were able to get them done. There were challenges at times. We had to cancel 2 meetings that were in addition to the 42 meetings, but we still were able to get our work done. I don't know if the board would like to take a position on the bill. Again, currently it doesn't provide any impact, or if the board wants to take a stance on potential amendments, although I'm not sure you would be able to without knowing what those amendments might be.
John, just so that the board knows, you have run this past our Deputy Attorney General, and at least the way the bill is written now, he does not feel that there's any impact to the exchange. Is that correct?
I did not run it by, so right now we have with us Dennis Belcourt from the Attorney General's office. I did not discuss it with him in particular. I had extensive conversations with George Taylor, who is the Attorney General's open meeting law expert. I don't know if Mr. Belcourt has anything to add.
I don't have anything to add.
What is the pleasure of the board then? Do you want John to just continue tracking and keep us updated if there are any changes to it?
This is Lynn. I mean, that sounds good. Are there, 2 things they're changing, 5 things they're changing, 10 things? I mean, I guess if we know there's only, a couple proposed changes that aren't even going to affect us, I wonder if John even needs to track. So it might just be helpful to know a little bit more.
Currently, the bill as introduced, I believe it was introduced by Government Affairs. I think it was on behalf of the Attorney General. So it was a bill that was introduced for the Attorney General's office. Generally, it requires that it indicates that a member cannot designate somebody else to attend the meeting for them. Let me see here. So it's relating to public meetings, exempting certain committees and subcommittees of public body from compliance with the open meeting law, which doesn't include us. Prohibiting a member of a public body from designating a person to attend a meeting in the member's place without certain authority, which I don't think anybody has tried to do yet, except for some of the non-officio or the ex-officio non-voting members have sent people in their place. I don't know if that makes a difference whether they have somebody there since they're not voting anyways, so I'm not sure if that really makes a difference. The bill also revises provisions relating to the prosecution of an alleged violation of the open meeting law and revises provisions governing the provision of supporting material for meetings to the public and other matters properly relating thereto. The biggest concern that we had was the language about posting materials to the website, which we currently do. When we first read it, it appeared that we would have to send it. We might have to send it via an attachment in an email. That provision actually does not apply to us. It applies to local governments. So as I stated before, it doesn't have an impact on us. The difficulty with any of these bills is while the current bill does not have an impact on us, a very minor tweak, a couple words here or there could impact the exchange, but we won't know what that impact is until we see those amendments.
Well, this is Lynn. I would just say then just have John keep tracking it.
Dennis, you're on the line. Do we need to have motions on each of these recommendations?
Unless you're going to make a recommendation, you needn't give a motion.
Why don't we, so the record's clear. Lynn, do you want to make that as a motion, and then we'll see if we can get a second?
Sure. I move that staff continues to follow Assembly Bill 65 and we take no action at this time.
Ron Klein will second.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries then. We want to move along to Senate Bill number 92.
Senate Bill 92 makes changes to Chapter 442 of NRS, which I believe are the health sections, relating to public health, requiring that infants be examined for critical congenital heart disease, providing an exception for written parental objection, and providing other matters. The reason that we put this on, when we first looked at it, we were concerned that the test that was required for when a child is first born could be above and beyond essential health benefits. After reviewing it in further detail, it appears that the test is part of our essential health benefits. The reason that we were concerned is that if the state creates a mandate that is above and beyond our essential health benefits, then the state is required to pay for the cost of the advanced premium tax credit that is attributable to that premium for that test. This, as I said, does not appear to impact the required offerings for plans, that the plans are already included in the essential health benefits. Therefore, it doesn't create an additional state mandate and would not create any kind of fiscal note. Based on that information, and we put it on here on the agenda because when we were creating the agenda, we weren't sure about that status at the time. We're now confident that it doesn't impact the state, and therefore I would recommend that we remove it. I don't need a vote to do that. We could simply just not include it in the next agenda at the chair's discretion.
John, what is the test that they're requiring? Echocardiogram?
It's conducting a pulse oximetry screening.
Okay, that's nothing. That's fine. That's probably done on every baby anyway, routinely.
Right, and for those of us that don't deal with people's health on a daily basis, we weren't sure what that was.
Sure. Yeah, no, I wanted to make sure there wasn't a mandate to do an echocardiogram on every baby born, which is a whole different thing. So I would be fine with just. I would move that we remove this from the agenda and no longer follow it.
Do we have a second to that?
Second, Lynn.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Go on to Senate Bill 156.
For the record, John Hager, Senate Bill 156 was introduced by, or the sponsors are Assemblyman Spiegel and Aisley and Orenshaw. I'm sorry, those are joint sponsors. The Senate sponsors are Senators Sigerblom, Parks, and Keown. This one was referred to the Committee on Commerce, Labor, and Energy. It deals with Title 57. It requires that certain policies of health insurance and health care plans provide coverage for acupuncture treatments in certain circumstances. The essential health benefits as published by the Department of Health and Human Services this past Friday includes the state's recommendation to use the HPN point of service plan as the essential health benefit benchmark. That plan does not include acupuncture. Therefore, acupuncture is not currently a benchmark, a part of the benchmark plan, part of the essential health benefits, and therefore including a state mandate to require the coverage of acupuncture would cost the state money. The Division of Insurance has submitted a fiscal note, I believe, in the amount of approximately $1 million. I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are, but that dollar amount is the amount of general fund that would be required to cover the cost of the advanced premium tax credit for the increase in premium due to acupuncture services.
So we're taking a position to oppose? Is that what you're recommending, or?
I'm actually not recommending either way. Oftentimes when bills come across an agency's desk, if there is a fiscal note, they will provide that fiscal note and so that the committees are aware of the cost, but don't actually oppose or support the bill. And it could be, we might be better off simply being neutral on it, but agreeing with the fiscal note. We are building the exchange to be able to account for any mandate that could be added, just in case there is a mandate that's added for that cost. So we are building our system to be able to take premiums in 3 different buckets. The first bucket is the normal APTC eligible amount. The second budget are the state mandates that would be required to be paid for by the state, and the third bucket are the non-EHB items that one of the federal rules is that the APTC cannot be used to pay for abortions for which public funding is not available. So anything that the APTC cannot be calculated on but must be paid for by the individual is the third bucket. We're building our exchange to be able to accommodate all 3 of those buckets so that we are prepared for any eventuality. But again, if this goes forward, we will have to make sure that we have a mechanism to get funds from the state general fund to pay for the cost of the advanced premium tax credit attributable to acupuncture treatments.
John, or Madam Chair,
Go ahead. Who's speaking?
Leslie Johnstone.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Johnstone. Go ahead, please.
John, do you know if the Division of Insurance fiscal note includes the cost that would be attributable to the exchange participants?
The cost that was that was submitted by the Division of Insurance is due to the cost of the APTC, which is only through the exchange.
Okay. I just want to make sure that was included in their fiscal note.
John,
That's
if this date were to go through and say it was signed into law late May, what would that do to our carriers that are building plans right now that would not have this in their plan? And I guess my next thought would be maybe it would be prudent of us to say if the legislature feels that this is an important mandate, to put the effective date a year out so that people that are building plans for the exchange now don't have to deal with it the first year but deal with it the second year.
May I also ask another question here? John, since the governor's made it very clear that no state funds will be used to fund the exchange, this fiscal note of $1 million would directly affect the monthly service charge. Is that correct?
No, it would not affect the service charge. It would be a separate item that would come from some mechanism in the general fund. And I don't know if that general fund would come to us to distribute in the APTC, but it would be separate from the fee charged to the carriers. It'd be a separate mechanism, separate bucket altogether. While we would administer it, it would be considered completely separate.
Okay. So the state fund. So the fiscal note is the state has to come up with $1 million, which seems actually like a relatively small number. I would have guessed it would have been a larger number than that.
And then the other thing that I need to note is that it doesn't appear that there's an effective date. So my understanding, and Mr. Belcourt, correct me if I'm wrong, if there's no effective date, it's effective October 1st of this year?
That's the general rule, is if there's no effective date designated, October 1st.
Is the Division of Insurance or the governor's office taking a position on this bill?
I am not sure about that.
Okay.
I can provide that information to the board at the next meeting.
Yeah. Okay, I think that'd be helpful to know that.
John, what about my question though? How is this going to affect those carriers that are putting together plans right now?
I think they would have to amend the plans to ensure acupuncture is covered. I think that they would they'd either build the premium into it now to make sure that it's covered, or they would be short that premium later, or they'd have to amend the premium. Now, because plans are required to be submitted no later than June 7th, I think it is cutting it short, certainly.
We've made it so complicated for these carriers right now. I would rather us not take a position on the bill itself, but take a position on the effective date so that we don't further complicate everything that these carriers are waiting for. I mean, that would be my preference, because if the legislature and their constituents feels this is important, I think we ought to be supportive of that by, not issuing any objections. But I do think an effective date that gets us into the second year of the exchange would be very helpful for those people that are trying to develop those tiers and those policies right now.
So would you then recommend that if an amendment that would make an effective date on plan years beginning on or after July 1st of 2014?
If that's the appropriate date.
I think
you ought to look at, get together with the calendar and figure out what is the date that these carriers will be submitting their second year plan, and make it coincide with that.
Right. So there's a couple of things. So there are, for individual plans, all individual plans in exchange are effective January 1st of 2014, January 1st, 2015. in the group side, the group plans on the shop exchange can be effective at various times throughout the year. If we do a 7/1/14 start date, that would give them a year to be able to file. If you want to be extra conservative, you could make it January 1st of 2015.
This is Lynn. Can I just step in for a second? I think I agree with everything you say, Barbara, Madam Chair, that we shouldn't take a position, but if it is going to pass, that we would want a different date. But to me, it would sound like if we're proposing an amendment with a different date to have it effective, to me that sounds like we're endorsing and supporting the underlying bill. So
Madam Chair, this is Leslie Johnstone. I was going to say the exact same thing. So I would just recommend that John provide information during the committee hearing on any committee hearing on the bill. First, to clarify any questions, be there to clarify any questions about the impact on the advanced premium tax credit, and then also point out this as a logistic problem for the carriers putting their plans together for 2014, and not take a position and not recommend an amendment per se.
Okay. Any other comments?
So if I can just summarize what I think it sounds like we've discussed, that the board would like me to be available for the hearings on this bill, that we are neutral, the board is neutral on this bill, that the board is concerned about an effective date starting before we're concerned about an effective date that's too early, and that we also need to point out the issue of the advanced premium tax credit and the cost to the state.
This is also Johnstone. I would move that John do just what he said.
All right, is there a second to that?
Second, Klein.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And, John, I've lost my webpage here. Is it BDR 1285? Is that the next item on the agenda?
Yes, and we brought both BDR 1285 and 1344 to the board at the last meeting. 1285 is the exchanges BDR, and 1344 is the DOI's omnibus bill. We don't have anything to add to that. It is our understanding that both bills have been approved by the governor and are going through the process to become bills or going through the Legislative Counsel Bureau legal office to become bills and be introduced at the legislature. So right now we're just waiting to hear back from those bills.
So with that, we really don't have anything to do other than just watch them as they get Senate bills or Assembly bill numbers to them.
Correct, and I will let the board know in an email as soon as I find out. Well, so a couple things. I'll let the board know as soon as I find out that the BDR has become a bill, and then we will also change the legislative update page on our website to indicate the bill number rather than the BDR number.
All right, do any of the members have any other questions about the Assembly, Senate bills or the bill drafts that we've discussed? All right, we'll close agenda item number 3 and go to agenda item number 4. John, I think you can give us our next date for the regular board meeting, and then we have this periodic update on legislative items, 2 weeks in advance of our board meeting?
That's correct. So our next board meeting, normal board meeting, is March 14th at 1:30 p.m. The next legislative update meeting, the shorter meeting, will be on March 27th at 4 p.m. On our next full board meeting agenda, we have currently the typical executive director's report, discussion of these bills here and any additional bills. We will bring back a call center report, more refined numbers from Xerox. a discussion about the Medicaid call center and how that impacts the Exchange call center. We plan on bringing back the audit protocols report, plan certification for dental and vision plans, a committee recommendation from the Plan Certification and Management Committee, a review of the rating and service areas, and then a method to review the performance of the executive director and a method for the board to conduct a self-assessment.
Are there any other items that board members would like to add to the regular board meeting? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to public comment again. Do we have any members of the public that would like to participate in the public comment agenda item? There being none, I think we can adjourn the meeting unless, John, there's anything that we've missed. I think.
That's it. Thank you, Barbara. Or thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time and putting this. It looks like it went. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.